Hey, future me here, just reminding you guys that I am doing a summer film fest on my channel, meaning we are talking about the biggest movies coming out this summer. And if you want to know more about those big tentpole films, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when those videos go live. And trust me, we have a lot of great films coming in this series of Summer Film Fest on my channel. Nonetheless, let's continue. It has officially happened. We are finally in July. And you know what that means? It means that we have finally reached the month where we have the three big hitters of this year. The three biggest films to come out this year, I believe, are the three that are coming out literally this month. That being Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four: First Steps. Now, these three films are going to be huge. And I'm telling you, like, probably we're going to see a tiny bump, a tiny spike in people going to theaters just to see these films. But of those three, we are finally talking about the very first one to come out this month, and that is Jurassic World Rebirth. So I'll go ahead and just say this up front. I will be mentioning spoilers throughout this video. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, you mentioned something that I didn't want to hear. But listen, I'm letting you know firsthand so that you already know. So what my suggestion is, go watch the film, go to a theater, watch it. Doesn't matter if you watch it on a big screen or a small screen in the theater, just watch it in the theater, and just absorb the film, then come back and we'll have this discussion. But if you've already watched the film, let's discuss. So I think it's important to lay out right in front of us right now the obvious here. And that, personally, I don't really talk so much about, Jurassic Park films. I don't mention them on my channel that much. When the trailer came out for this film, I mentioned it on this channel. And, I had my thoughts, kind of processed my thoughts on video and kind of told you guys what I thought about what this movie is going to be like and the reasoning for me to go see it in theaters. Now, first off, before I even get down to the reasoning as to why I wanted to go see this in theaters, I think we have to mention, the things that I didn't quite like of this movie. And I feel like there are a few things that for some people may have gone over their heads, or maybe because they didn't have time to actually have the discussion with other people, but ultimately things that I do think are glaring when it comes to a Jurassic World type movie. So let's talk right off the bat. And this is something, funny enough, it's something that someone who I follow on YouTube talks about a lot. And that is that it doesn't really make sense for a movie to break its own logic. And I feel like a lot of the little things that I didn't like about this film are things that are kind of logic breaking. So I'll start off with a very simple one. There is a scene in this film where they are on a boat hauling ass, going straight to the shore because there's a dinosaur that is following them and could tip the boat over, and there's moments where the boat is rocking and they're trying to get away, and you're on this boat and it's going straight and they're going all the way to a beach where they know that they can be safe from a dinosaur. So as they're going in that direction, the captain says, which happens to be Mahershala Ali, says, hey, you guys got to jump from this boat or else you guys are going to get hurt. Otherwise, we're screwed. So then you see Scarlett Johansson, the other guys all jump off the boat, and just Mahershala Ali and this one guy stay on board, but they all jump off the boat so that they don't get hurt from the boat. Now, as soon as they jump out of the boat, the dinosaur that's following them takes a right turn because he can't continue to go on shore, and then now what? So the people who just jumped into the water could have just been better off staying on the boat, because the boat would have protected them, simply due to the fact that once he lands on water, when he lands on land, I should say, when he like literally goes up on the rocks, he survives and everybody's okay, and the boat is just damaged. So why would someone jump in the water, being that they could just stay on the boat and the problem would have been solved? Kind of questionable reasoning there. Like there's little things that are kind of questionable in this film. Like something simple, like the scene where the family is out on the water and they've already called their SOS and they see the boat coming, but the boat is clearly within visible range. I mean, it's not like they're like 200, 300, 400 miles away and they have to like grab their attention. No, the boat is like within like maybe, like honestly, it's not that far. You could easily see that there are people on a capsized boat. And this guy is on this capsized boat and he takes out his flare and just goes, we're over here. He wastes a flare for someone who's clearly within visible range. Again, questionable reasoning. Little things that you catch. You have a fence and you cut one wire from the middle of the fence and that's it? Okay, that's weird. I mean, it's an abandoned island. B, you're not going back that way. Like, you're not returning to that same shore again because you have already an objective, and that is to get to a helipad. So why do you cut one wire when you could just cut the fence and just walk through? Little things. I'm telling you, like, this is a tiny detail. Tiny detail. Another one that my dad brought up that was very interesting and kind of intriguing. There's this island, right? Why would there be a gas station with like gas station style stuff in this base? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, they're not in the middle of a city. It's not Hawaii, you know? It's not a massive island. It's an island. I mean, it's a pretty big island, but it's not Hawaii. Like little things like that just kind of pop up in your head as you're watching the film, you know? Like little things, you know? Stuff that kind of breaks the logic of the film, which to me is kind of upsetting because, like, I would have imagined that they're a little bit more lenient on that matter. But nonetheless, those are the little things that I caught on that were just kind of like, okay, kind of took me out of it for a second, but still, yeah, it's a problem. Another problem I have with this film is that it spends time sometimes trying to build backstory on characters that we don't really have like backstory with. Like, you know, it's not like if you had Sam Neill, which was in the first movie, and then you see him in, like, say, I think is it Fallen Kingdom or is it Dominion? It's one of those two movies. He shows up, and then you kind of see like the classic characters from the first movie come back, and they have like this sort of nostalgic thing going. Those characters have an interaction with each other. It makes sense to see that on screen and like have that backstory and have those conversations. It makes sense. For characters that we are just learning about, basic. Make your backstories basic. Like, okay, I'm sitting here watching Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson having this conversation about people that they lost or people that aren't in their lives anymore, and it's like, okay, it's like sad, but I don't feel a connection to that person. I don't feel like that connection is there yet. Like, make me fall in love with the character first, not just their backstory. Just make me love that character. Make me understand that character through their actions, through how they perceive the world, rather than just having them sit there and have conversations that technically aren't going to add anything to the story. So to me, that was a bit of a kind of like a thing for me. Like, there's a lot of talking that just doesn't need to be there. You know, let's get to the meaty part. No pun intended. Another thing that I should mention that, mind you, I'm not going to say it's a complaint. I'm going to say it's like somewhere in the middle of the road here. In the middle of the road here, I should say that there is something that kind of worked and kind of didn't work. And that was the inclusion of this family that we, you know, come to learn about. And, you know, it's a father, his two daughters. I think it's his father. It's the father, right? I think. They mention their father, or it's an uncle and his two nieces, and his niece's boyfriend. Okay. That's fine and all. I would have preferred it to be like a complete family, because the boyfriend character is supposed to be there for like comic relief, and he's okay. I mean, he's not like super funny. Like he puts out a couple dry jokes here and there that really don't land, but I wish it would have been like a family unit, like a mother, a father, and their kids. Like, that would have been far more interesting for me than if it was somebody else. Now, apart from that, it also gives us little moments here and there with them that are actually kind of great. I mean, like, one of the better moments of the movie is with this family involved. So it kind of worked. It kind of didn't. You know, a lot of people are going to see this movie and they're either going to absolutely hate this family, or they're going to like find it weird but kind of accept them in the long run. But that family dynamic, good for a lot of people, but I think a lot of people are not going to like it either way. So it's kind of in the middle of the road. And another thing as well, and this is me being picky, okay? And this is the case for like some more recent films, but mind you, other big tentpole films like Superman and I believe also Fantastic Four are going to have this. No after credits. I imagine that this movie would have had some sort of after credits where we see them, you know, get back on land, and, you know, them going to this, you know, place, and, you know, seeing like progress of humanity, and then ultimately there's a twist in the story, and then ultimately we get something for the next film, which I get it. They try to make this like a condensed one film kind of thing. Like, you don't have to watch all the other films to watch this film, and that's a good thing about it. But I understand that like you could tease what could come next. Now, obviously they weren't thinking about what's coming next, because ultimately they know that whatever they put on screen, a lot of people are going to go see, and ultimately that is what is currently happening, but we'll cover that later. And kind of sort of on the same sort of wavelength as that, I feel like this movie ends, I'm not going to say abruptly, because it doesn't end abruptly, but it ends kind of, I'm not going to call it lukewarm. I just feel like Jurassic World, like the first Jurassic World movie, ended on a big like boom. Like, holy cow, you're seeing two dinos fighting it out, and it's like this really great moment. And then that like big, you know, water dinosaur just comes and like eats up the I think it was the Indominus Rex. Anyway, there was a big battle between two dinosaurs. Let me tell you something. If you're dealing with kaiju type creatures, which we can agree that they're not kaiju sized, but if you're dealing with kaiju type creatures, like lizard type creatures that are big and, you know, feisty, you want to see a fight. And I was expecting to see at the very end of this movie a big fight, okay? Not just the escape of these characters and then this like the you know, dinosaur just looks at them like angry, and then he like turns away and goes back. Like, no. I was expecting like a fight. And I was ready to accept a complete loss of the T-Rex. I was ready to accept the loss of the T-Rex because this D-Rex, is massive, scary. I mean, the scene where this thing like freaking literally grabs the helicopter and you think, oh, the helicopter's coming. Nope, it's in the creature's mouth, and it's like, okay, this thing's huge. I want to see a fight between that and the T-Rex. The T-Rex can't rely on its arms. This creature can rely on its arms, and that's the scary part, But I was expecting a big fight between dinosaurs. Nonetheless, that didn't happen. Kind of a bummer, but it kind of just, left me wanting more. Now, I'm sure that I could probably spend, another 5 minutes talking about other things that I talked about, that I could think about at least, that cover things that I didn't like about the movie. But here's the thing. I don't think it's fair for me to sit here and talk about all these bad things that I perceived about this movie and call it a bad movie, because there's a lot of great things that happen in this movie that are really fun and entertaining. And honestly, like, there's scenes that I can say personally that I enjoyed a lot in this movie. And there's other aspects as well of this movie, that really made me excited to see it in theaters, especially when you see it in a trailer. You're like, oh, I want to see this in theaters. And let me tell you, like, from the T-Rex scene that you see in the trailers, the T-Rex following the family down the river, that scene is awesome. Like, I absolutely loved that scene. Then you have, them on the cliff with the flying, dinosaur. And then you have the scene where they kind of recreate the velociraptor kind of chasing, the kids inside the kitchen. They kind of recreate that scene, but in this film. Cool, really cool seeing that. There's a lot of little homages to the original film. You have the big vegetarian dinosaurs, which in this movie they're much bigger and they have a huge tail. And there's like this really beautiful scene with these two dinosaurs, like, passionately, falling in love and this sort of thing. Like, it's a really beautiful scene, really well choreographed and shot. It's really nice to see that. All these little things, these little moments that are designed to be memorable are actually memorable moments. And I love that. I love that they're capable of pulling that off, and making those little moments memorable, because ultimately people want to see the dinosaurs. They want to see action. They want to be, awed by these huge creatures. And ultimately, in some cases, this movie succeeds in that, and sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, when it comes to the dinosaurs, it does succeed. And that's something that I forgot to mention as well as one of my complaints, and that is, if this is supposed to be designed as like the island of Dr. Moreau meets Jurassic Park, then I was expecting to see more wacky inventions, like wacky dinosaurs for this movie. Like a two-headed T-Rex. Like, imagine if you could see that. Like, come on. Like, that would be really cool. But nonetheless, they delivered on what they were setting out to do, which is to make some of these, like, really big dinosaurs feel like larger than life. And they did that, like, really well. And we have to give it up for the actors who are also in this film. Let's start off with the main one, the one that stands out the most, that we all know, Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson does a great job in this film. She really sells it that she's, kind of a mercenary who's trying to, get through in life. She's not, like, to me personally, there's a lot of things that she does in this film that doesn't make her feel to me like she is like a mercenary. But I understand that it's kind of like she's kind of like off guard and she's trying to, get things done in a certain way, and she doesn't want to seem too mercenary-esque. But then again, she's there for the money and she's there to, succeed. Ultimately, in the end, her, heart turns to the bright side of things and wants to help out people, and that's a great little thing that they kind of did in terms of her arc. You know, she isn't thinking about the profits anymore. She's thinking about helping a lot of people, especially since the guy who was gonna pay her at least didn't survive. So ultimately, that was a really cool little arc that they actually created for that character, and she did really well. Another one, Mahershala Ali. Gotta say, he plays it like the boat captain that he is playing as. You know, this guy who has this history with, with Z, which is Scarlett Johansson's character. She has this sort of like connection with him, and they have like some chemistry on screen. But that's the thing. Again, it's part of that sort of created backstory, and we don't like feel it. You know, I'm supposed to feel like these people know each other for decades, not from like a talking scene with like 5 minutes of them talking to each other. No, I wanna experience them like in action, having conversations with each other, so that we can see that connection. It doesn't feel like a big tentpole connection. Like, she calls out to him sometimes in moments and that sort of thing, but he is, just something for her to like have a conversation with. He's someone who's there to just have that conversation with. But I think he did really well in this film. I think that Mahershala Ali did a really great job in this film. He's entertaining. He's, fun to see on screen. He takes the role really seriously, which is a big plus, and I think he did a fantastic job in this film, as he does in every other film that he's in. The other main actor that we get in this movie is Jonathan Bailey. Now, I don't have any background on him as a person. Like, I'm not familiar with any other project that he's in that I've watched, but he does really well in this film. He plays the scientist really well. I think he has a very lovable character, and he plays it like the scientist. He wants to kind of, help the world. And I mean, I feel like he has the most impactful character. Like Jonathan Bailey plays the most impactful character of this movie, specifically because he brings about the idea that science isn't just for the few, it's for everyone. And I love that like sentiment. I feel like having that sentiment in the movie was really good. I think it projects something more for the film. It's a small little detail, but I feel like it's necessary, specifically nowadays with so many different things, happening in the world. I feel like it's a nice little change of pace. It's not just about hunting dinosaurs or the shooting or the action sort of thing. There's like that small message of, hey, listen, this is for everybody. We shouldn't be just doing this for profit. Make it for everyone so that everyone can benefit from this. And I love that character. I really do think that this Dr. Henry character is fantastic, and he plays it so well. Big props to him. And then we have, obviously, Rupert Friend, who plays this role really well. Like, he plays the sort of like, I am paying you to do my dirty work for you, so you do it. He plays that character really well here. And I think he plays a pretty, I wouldn't say a strong character, but he plays the character that's like, oh, I'm paying for this and that sort of thing. But it's not as impactful, And you kind of see like little things here and there of like questionable motives that he has. And you see him in small moments of the movie, but it's not something that intrigues you. Like, okay, why is he acting this way? Why is he doing this? It never really intrigued me. So, I mean, I'm not going to blame him for like doing the character that way. I'm going to ultimately blame the writers for not writing a more cohesive character in that case. But I'm not going to lie. Seeing how he ends up in the movie is kind of interesting and kind of like, I'm not going to say surprising because we've seen stuff like that before in Jurassic World, but nonetheless, he has a very Jurassic ending. Just put it like that. And I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. And then obviously we have our 4 actors who are in this sort of family unit in this film. We have David Iacono, Luna Blaze, Audrina Miranda, and Manuel Garcia Rulfo. Now, all 4 of these actors are great. They're great in their own right. They make us believe that they're truly a family unit. Obviously you have the boyfriend, you have this dynamic between the two, but again, they're there to kind of fulfill a connection between the audience and what you would do as a family in this situation. They're there to fulfill that goal, for you to actually mirror yourself onto them and be like, okay, if I was in that same position, would I do the same thing? Would I be where they are, doing what they're doing? That's the goal. And I think that for that purpose alone, I think that they did a great job, being that part of the story. There's a lot of heart here in this family. You see that they're trying to stay together, and ultimately having them, be that sort of mirror image of the audience in a way in this film is kind of interesting. Again, it's not something that people are going to absolutely love, or it's either going to be an absolute love fest for this family, or people are just absolutely just going to be like, okay, I don't want it. I just don't want it. I like to think that I'm kind of in the middle here, but nonetheless, having them on screen, seeing them work together as a unit was really well, based, and I can understand where they were coming from in the script when they wrote these characters. Now, obviously, this movie also has a sort of Grogu-esque character that is introduced in this film, and we never get a sort of follow-up. I like to think that we saw maybe this character's mother in the film, but nonetheless, it's Dolores, the little dinosaur, the little cute dinosaur that we see in the film. It's so cool to see a nice little dinosaur thing, hopping around. My mom was like, ah, let me tell you, if the goal is to sell little plush dinosaurs, Universal got it right. Okay, this is a very good way to do it, because you put a cute little dinosaur and this little girl carrying it around. I mean, you could also mention that this could be a direct correlation to something like Lilo and Stitch, because you have a little girl and you have her little dog-esque character that she's holding along. So nice little, detail there that I think people are going to absolutely fall in love with. Now, I wanted to leave this part, at least, for last, specifically on my thoughts on this film. And the reason why I wanted to leave this part last is because I feel like I need to justify it to people, even though that there doesn't need to be a justification to people as to why I wanted to see this movie compared to other films in the Jurassic World franchise, which I never went to see in theaters. As a matter of fact, it's not the type of movie that would interest me to go see in theaters, which is a Jurassic World film. But there's only one major reason why I wanted to see this film in theaters, and that is for this person right here, Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards is the reason why I bought a ticket. And I want you to know that, Scarlett Johansson was not part of my wanting to purchase a ticket. Jonathan Bailey wasn't it. Mahershala Ali wasn't it. None of those actors made me want to go see it in theaters. But Gareth Edwards, who is the director of this film, made me want to go see it in theaters. And that's simply due to the fact that he has a visual storytelling style that I absolutely love. And I feel like he succeeded that beautifully in this film. This movie is absolutely beautifully shot, beautifully lit. There's moments that you're just like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing. How well it's constructed. Scenes are shot in incredible ways. I love his work, especially because the last two films that he did, I also went to see in theaters, which was Rogue One and The Creator, which are both great films. So seeing him do a Jurassic World movie ultimately made me say, you know what, I'm going to buy a ticket, because for Gareth Edwards, I'm willing to do that. And he did not disappoint. He shot this film beautifully, and I absolutely love what he did with this film, cinematography-wise, direction-wise. Absolutely amazing work on his end. So overall, I think this film is really good. I think this movie is a really good movie. Again, it has these really like blaring issues. It has these very apparent issues that surprised me when I was watching the movie. I was like, well, why would that happen? Honestly, there's a lot of these questionable moments in this film. And I agree. They're like glaring in your face, and for some people, it might break the movie. It might be like, okay, this is a make or break moment for the movie. Like if something goes awry, you completely lose interest and you just don't want to watch the movie again. But for me personally, there's a lot to love here. There's a lot of moments here that are to love of this movie, specifically in the way it's shot, directed, seeing some banter here and there with characters are okay, not everything lands, and ultimately it is a Jurassic World film to its core. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't say this is the best Jurassic World film, but I would probably say that this is like the second best Jurassic World film. If we're talking about the entire franchise of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World would probably be at the top of that list. And I'm talking about the regular original films. The Jurassic World original film, that one would probably be alongside the original Jurassic Park. And because of that, and it's funny because we were having this discussion in the car. We were on the way home, and my dad in the car, he said, listen, the reason why, and honestly, like after he said it, it stuck with me because it started to make sense. The reason why Jurassic Park and Jurassic World worked so well is because they dove into the aspect of people going to a theme park. That's it. It's people going to a theme park. Now, why does the original one work, even though it doesn't dive too heavily into the theme park theme of it? It does focus on, how the park works, the moments here and there that you're going to feel tense and are, focused on finding some sort of, escape from. Literally, like those moments work for those movies, and they're built to work for those movies. Now, for this one, that's the thing. This movie is going to work for a lot of people. And as a matter of fact, now that we're on the topic, this movie already broke a record this year. And that is that it's the biggest opening weekend of 2025 so far. Yeah, it produced over $300 million its opening weekend. And if the trend continues, I'm telling you, like this movie is more than likely gonna make upwards of like 900, maybe to upwards of $1 billion could be a possibility. I'm not saying it will, but it is a possibility that this movie makes $1 billion. Now, again, Scarlett Johansson is loving it because now she has just broken the record for highest paid actress, beating out Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers, which is like, come on, that's insane. But still, it's the case now for this film. So I think there's a lot of great things going for it. I do think that this movie is going to be very successful. I think that a lot of people are going to fall in love with a lot of aspects of this film. But I feel like those little glaring issues that I mentioned could be to its detriment in the long run. And mind you, the reviews of this movie have been quite mixed. I mean, just look at the Rotten Tomato score. Yeah, kind of mixed. And I would say that the audience score is right around what I would rate the film, in my opinion. Like around a 7 to an 8 is where I would probably put the movie. But then again, I'm not a reviewer. I'm not here to review the movie. I'm here to talk about my thoughts on this film, and I think I enjoyed it. I think it was a very enjoyable movie. There are those moments, like I said, but I don't think it breaks the movie in half. it doesn't destroy the film altogether. It does diminish a little bit the work, but I feel like a lot of people are going to enjoy and go and watch this movie in theaters, and I would recommend you go see it. I don't think it's a terrible movie, and I think you guys would probably enjoy it. So go see it in theaters. And I completely forgot, while I was in the process of making this video, to talk about where I would put it in our Movie Savant thermometer. Like, where would it be in our Movie Savant thermometer? And this time I'm going to do it on this side right here, just for convenient reasons. And I would say that it would be placed somewhere around, say like right around here. Like, I would say it's like right around here. It's like warm coffee. Like, that's where I would probably put it. It's not super hot coffee. It's not super like the perfect coffee, like cup of hot coffee. And it's also not like ice cold coffee. I would say it's like warm coffee. It's good. You're going to enjoy it. But it's not going to be like something that's going to blow your mind, But then again, that's where I put it. Like in our Summer Film Fest thermometer, I would say it's pretty much like warm coffee. But then again, that's just my opinion. And I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Do you think that Jurassic World Rebirth is worth going seeing in theaters? Honestly, I thought it was worth seeing in theaters after seeing it and enjoying the visuals and just the overall enjoyable factor that this movie brings. I think it's worth it. If you did go see it, did you enjoy it? Did you like or dislike the things that I liked? Or how about the things that you disliked? I want to hear from you. I want to know those opinions from you down below. I want to have those discussions with you down below. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next Summer Film Fest video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, Movie Savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savant's got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.